Hey guys, welcome. I'll give quick intros, everybody on the panel up here, or if you guys want to give your own intro.
Yep.
Tom, you want to go first?
Yeah, my name's Tom Cassell. 5 years ago, I decided to start making videos, put it on YouTube, playing video games. Now, where it stands, I'm on like 9.1 million subscribers, 1.7 billion YouTube views, and on Twitch, 2 million followers on there, just playing video games. Some people like to watch it, and that's pretty much what I do.
The first person to 2 million, actually.
Woo!
Yeah, first person to hit
credit, Tom.
Yeah, first person to hit 1 million followers on there, and then exactly a year later, 3 days ago, hit 2 million. So pretty good.
Nice. Yeah. I'm Bart Baker. I guess it's kind of the same kind of story. I started shooting stuff in my backyard 5 years ago, and now I do music video parodies. That's my thing. They crush. Between like 10 and 90 million views each. And yeah, it's awesome. It's so much fun. It's the best job I could ask for. So I'm super excited to be doing it, and I'm happy to be here.
Bart totally pays for all of his views, so that's
They're
also
all fake.
Ouch.
Kidding, I'm kidding. No, it's all real. My name is Olga K. Woo!
Whoa.
Woo! It's okay, we'll get there. My name is Olga K. I started on YouTube when it started back in 2006. My channel has a variety of content: sketch comedy, video games, fashion and beauty, lifestyle, and I also run my own brand, Mooshwalks socks, that I'm not wearing today. So I'm on both sides of it, as a creator that works with brands and as a brand that actually developing my own brand through influencers and other people online.
Hey, I'm Matthew Patrick. People online know me as Matt Pat, the game theorist / film theorist. Basically, our channels are the Mythbusters for video games, film, and TV. So basically, you take the nerdiness of an educational channel, fuse it together with the nerdiness of a gaming / film channel. That is what we do. That Mario can be diagnosed as a sociopath based on the DSM-5, and that in the 50 Shades of Grey, Christian Grey basically follows the same steps that cults use to indoctrinate Anastasia Steele. So that's the type of stuff that we cover. We're currently sitting at 5 million subscribers on the Game Theorists, averaging about 2 million views a video. On the Film Theorists, we got 1 million subscribers in a month. We're currently at 1.2. We launched that about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago at this point. And in addition to that, I also run a digital media consultancy. I have a background in neuroscience and data sciences. So, helping to consult brands with how to navigate the space. And we've consulted with 100 of the top YouTube brands, as well as top video game developers, publishers, and even YouTube themselves, which was kind of a trippy experience. So that's me.
Hey everybody, Mike Simons. I'm creative director of Rocket Jump. And Rocket Jump is a company that first came out on YouTube. It's Freddie Wong, and it's made a bunch of action comedy shorts and things like that. Got to 8 million subscribers. We made the first fully independent TV show in video game high school, where we basically controlled everything out of ourselves and working a little bit with our MCN partner. And now, we've gotten first look deal with Lionsgate, making a lot of bigger, better stuff, TVs, movies, trying to do everything while simultaneously still running the channel and doing everything like that. So yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Intros.
Yeah, so this panel is really great just because we have a very wide, diverse sort of skill set and audience, and in terms of the content that they produce. And it's great for a panel for today, as a lot of the common thread that we've had is really around storytelling, right, in video. And each of these guys have like a different aspect and angle that they take towards storytelling. So I thought it would be great. We brought Morgan Neville up here earlier. I don't know if you guys saw, but Morgan, is a storyteller by nature, right? He gave us an anecdote about how he goes through the New York Times and kind of just pieces it and looks at each story and tries to pull like the narrative and find his own angle and take on it. So I wanted to throw the question back out to you guys, like kind of what is your creative process and how do you find the angles that you find? Because you guys all have different approaches, and while you guys cover some semi-similar things at times, like you guys take it from a completely different angle. So I'd love to kind of dive into that process. We can start at the end. You want to
Okay.
get in there?
Yeah, I guess to sort of get into it, we're in a very interesting place because we are coming out of this new media model of YouTube and things like that, and yet at the same time, we do TV content, and we do very, very like VFX heavy oriented content, and the problem with that is that stuff costs a lot of money. And it's been very interesting sort of finding a way to do that and balance the cost of what we do with the space. And so it's really, really, it's really, really interesting for us to sort of meet that challenge. And a lot of that has involved been, working with brands and doing these kinds of things. But the really interesting challenge is how do you do all that and tell stories? Because that's really what we want to do. We're a group of filmmakers, we're a group of creative mind people, and most people, when they get into the space, they go off to Hollywood, they try to make a short film, they go to film festivals, they do all those things. We bypassed all of that. And it was because we were part of this generation that came along about 4 or 5 years ago that allowed us to be just making a movie and putting it up every single week. Sure, it was 2 to 5 minutes long, but to us it was a movie. And so it's really, really interesting to, go into this new space, try to become what I guess you could call, people don't even really know what to call it right now. Are we a digital studio? Are we this? Are we that? But, the goals have always been the same, which is how do you tell really great stories? How do you keep in touch with your audience? And, even now we're doing a big Hulu show. And it's really interesting taking our creative process and trying to put it in the space of a traditional TV show. And it's like, how do we blend and show what we are? And it's a little bit about behind the scenes. It's a little bit of how we make shorts. It's a little bit of sort of selling, your own way of making storytelling. And that's what we've always liked to do, is transparency, putting it forward, showing people the process, demystifying the process. It's why Rocket Jump even has a film school. And it's what we like to do, is we take everything we do and we put it on display, and we just, there's no mystery about it.
I think for us, so with the theorist channels and game theory and film theory in particular, it's a lot. Our creative process basically revolves around finding those little details that the developers, the publishers, the people who are working on these movies, these video games. There's a lot of research and effort that goes into every detail in a lot of these games, these movies, things like that. And so what our creative process is based around is finding those little nuggets of research or those little creative ideas that get implanted in there and might have gotten overlooked. Or really drawing those out to the forefront and celebrating those. Or looking at a story and twisting it around and saying, well, what if this? And then we'll go through the evidence and kind of like all the different details in the movies and films and whatever, and draw those little pieces of evidence out to tell a different or more interesting, not more interesting, but a different way to look at the story. What if Mario was evil? Well, what evidence can you draw from that? What if Christian Grey isn't this romantic guy, but instead like a sociopath? All that stuff. And surprisingly, you can create these compelling meta stories from the established lore of those franchises. And I think at the end of the day, the thing that is so exciting about that is we're suddenly able to take those IP that have existed for decades, a lot of them, and make the audience appreciate them or look at them in a new way. So you've played Mario for decades, but now all of a sudden you have a different lens to look at these games and appreciate them in a new, fun way, and see like, oh yeah, he is punching Yoshi. That is him being evil. Or like, oh yeah, Christian Grey did do this, and that made him an evil guy. And so at the end of the day, it's all about what is the value proposition for the fan. What are they, and whether or not they've engaged with that IP in the past, what are they learning from watching this video? We have one hopefully coming up tomorrow that's all about kind of the upcoming movie Hitman. And it's all about the underskin armor that one of the characters wears. Well, we teach you all about the science of, can that really exist in real life? What scientific technology exists? So now I'm appreciating it for the discussion of the movie, the critical analysis of the movie, but then also the scientific ideas that exist in that film. And I'm learning more about the world around me from watching that. And I think at the end of the day, all of us, what we're doing is delivering something beyond what already exists with those existing IPs, right? It's a different way of looking at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
We only have 15 minutes and 48 seconds, so I'll be real fast. The creative process is very simple. I know my audience really well. I would only work with brands that I can already connect to. So then the creative process becomes very simple. You already know how to deliver a message to your audience. You already know what the brand stands for, and it just becomes this synergy, easier to deliver to your audience, and actually creates a better response.
That was very quick.
Hey.
Um,
done.
s-
We have 15 minutes and 17 seconds now. Go.
yeah, those only 30 seconds. So for a parody, it's like the process is 2 weeks. We will find what the hottest music video that is right, like currently what the hottest one is. We will watch it millions of times in a writer's meeting, and then we have to pick apart as much as we can and find anything that we can to kind of comment on or make fun of about the video that we think the audience would find humorous. And a lot of our ideas actually come from going to the original video and reading the comments, because all the comments are angry people saying like why they don't like it. So we can build a storyline literally using the audience's comments. So when people watch it, they feel like they kind of came up with part of the idea because they're all thinking it. So yeah, we do a writers meeting. It takes like 3 days to figure out the script. We shoot for a day, maybe 2 days. If it's a big shoot, we'll do 3 days. And then it's like 5 days of post, and then it goes on YouTube, and then we do it all over again. So it's nonstop.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can keep mine pretty quick. Well, I woke up at 7 o'clock. No, I went to bed at 7 o'clock this morning because I was working all night. And when these guys put in like so much time and effort into what they do, I don't want to sell myself too short, but I play video games. So like, like this guy does all this research. The game theorists do all this research, and I just kind of like sit down in my chair, play video games. Yeah, that's kind of it. But it's like the view, like for example, if you look at like the biggest channel on YouTube is PewDiePie. Like gaming is like one of the biggest verticals, if not in my opinion, going to go to the top vertical and take over music because it's so huge and the industry is just continuing to grow. So for someone like me, I just wake up, do my day-to-day routine, breakfast, sit in front of a computer, play some video games, record it, render it, upload it, and then millions of people watch it. So yeah, thanks, I guess.
It's not a bad lifetime.
Not bad.
So it seemed like the common thread that you guys all kind of talked about was your audience, right? And I think I was looking at the numbers last night. I was cranking it together. I think the social reach on the stage is about 40 million. So that's
Nice.
across all of your different platforms. Technically 40 million, 355 being mine. 40 million from you guys. So, and those are across a lot of different platforms, right? And, you guys are all on a lot of different things. So, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the approach that you guys are taking. Like, how are you approaching, Tom, you're on YouTube, you're on Twitch, and clearly you're very successful on Twitch, right? So, like, how do you approach that differently? And I know, we just talked outside a little bit about Snapchat, a little bit about Vine. So, how do you approach those different mediums? How do you approach the different platforms? And do you find that your audience is receptive to come over with you, or like, how does that sort of go with?
Well, I decided to take like a big step like 2 years ago with Twitch because YouTube has built-in live stream, but there's also a successful platform called Twitch set up. So I decided to go ahead and give that a go and set myself the goal of trying to push 1 million of my followers over from YouTube over to a base on Twitch, which, trying to get 1 million unique people to sign up to something is a pretty like daunting task, but I smashed it within about 4 or 5 weeks, something like that. We'd pushed over 330,000 people just to go and sign up to a website to, again, watch me play video games, which was super successful. And it just grew and grew and grew like that. And before you knew it, I kind of took the method of breaching like what is against YouTubers' sort of practice of being like, I'm going to copy something from TV. And when I copied something from TV, it was like, at this set time, every single day for 2 hours, I'm going to live stream. Like, as a YouTuber, you can just put up a video and hope people see it, or you can keep it on a schedule. But for my live streaming, every day I decided I'm going to do it every single day and just stick to the schedule. And every day I saw my fan base grow, the viewership grow, and to one point I hit 121,000 people concurrent just watching me play Minecraft. Like, it was ridiculous. Like I set like records and stuff like that, and I had an absolute blast with it. And I never thought it was going to get that big. And if I continue on doing what I'm doing, I hope to one day to be able to just randomly, get up, have breakfast, turn on my computer and stream to 250 to 500,000 people. Like, having that sort of influence is absolutely incredible. Like, I can get anything trending worldwide within 10, 15 minutes, like, just with my audience on Twitter, and just, like, make amazing things happen, raising money for charity, that sort of stuff. So, like, with great power comes great responsibility, basically.
Bart, did you want to talk about any of the other platforms you're kind of interested in?
Right now, my two biggest that I'm starting to use are Snapchat and Vine. I do Vine because I am friends with all the big Viners, so they're in all my videos. So it's like, why am I not doing these Vine videos? So I just started like a month ago posting regularly, and it works really. I mean, I've gone up like 120K in like 3.5, 4 weeks because I'm working with all these big people. There's no point in not being on that platform. Snapchat is just a beast. Like, I think I'm doing like between 1.5 and 3 million opens a day on Snapchat. Wow. Which is like, why? I don't know. People like to open these Snapchats, but they literally are the most engaged audience, Snapchat. Right when you put up a snap, every single person, like, they're just constantly on that platform.
Thousands of views in seconds.
It's insane.
10 seconds later, like 25,000 views. It's like, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, those are the two biggest that I'm focusing on, off of YouTube right now.
Yes, so whether you're a creator or a brand, you have to be on top of all the social media networks that are coming out. So my recent one that I got into is Snapchat. Vine is the only thing that I skipped, but Snapchat and Periscope. So there's a really big thing happened for me for Periscope. Periscope is a live streaming platform, and I've noticed that that's the first social media platform that is used by brands before influencers, which I thought was really interesting. And being on the platform for maybe a month, I got my first brand deal with Nestle. And when I talked to Nestle about why they chose Periscope and what other platforms they were working with, they said, we only want to do Periscope. We want to be the only brand that only does Periscope, and we don't do anything else. And I thought it was really interesting. It's a shift. So if you're a brand or a creator, you have to always be on different platforms because you never know what's going to take off. And last night, I signed up for Cyberdust. Anyone? Yeah.
Mark Cuban.
Yeah, Mark Cuban.
He just followed me on Twitter yesterday.
Yeah. And
Should probably get the app.
Guys got $3 billion in the bank and just randomly followed me. Okay.
Yeah, woo! So that platform is very different, and I feel like that platform is created for businesses more so than creators, and it's a very one-on-one engagement. So I actually talk to my customers on there that buy my product, and I get to blast news into their faces, and then it disappears. And there's no social media aspect where it's like, oh, how many followers do they have? Oh, how many people like screenshotted it? It's very private, but it's very connected. And there's something psychological happens to people when they touch the phone and hold the button. That's why I think Snapchat is really important and really big right now. Because when you press your button and you hold it there, you really pay attention to what's happening.
You don't have to hold it anymore. You just tap it now.
Damn it, that's right. But yeah, so YouTube videos, I usually watch them in the background. If something catches my attention, I go and I watch them again. But for Snapchat, I have to be there. I can't just step away, and that's why the Snapchat is really successful.
You know, and I think that points to a really interesting challenge with the space right now, which is it is more confusing than ever to be in the digital media landscape. Like Olga said, you don't know what is going to take off, but also from a metrics perspective, you don't know what you should be measuring, right? A view doesn't equal a view on every single platform. Like everyone's saying, Snapchat, if you're holding down the button, that's a pretty darn engaged view. Whether or not you have to hold it down now, that changes things, but say you're holding down the button, that's an engaged view. On Facebook, they're touting the billions of views that they're getting on Facebook every day, but those views are being accumulated as you auto-scroll through the feed on your homepage. And all of a sudden, each time you auto-scroll and it plays for a second, that there is a view. On YouTube, if you click the button, then that counts as a view, and autoplay views have a certain view second threshold that you have to cross in order for it to count as a view. So even across platforms, the metrics and the words used to describe those metrics, they may be the same, but they mean completely different things, which is a big challenge for brands trying to enter or figure out what is the right place for me in this space. I would actually argue against Olga on the fact that brands should be everywhere. I don't think you should be. From what I've seen, different brands and different influencers work in different mediums. Vine, if you're short and snappy and you're able to deliver a funny, catchy message in 6 seconds, great, that's for you. If you're a video game company, you had better be on YouTube because that's where everyone is, with Twitter probably as your secondary location and maybe a third place. But, I recognize, and I think a lot, it's, to be a company today, you don't have the pipelines and revenue sources and ability to open up all these, okay, now we need to be on Periscope and Vine and Twitch and Ocho, which is 8 seconds, not 6 seconds. You know, it's true. Someone pitched me on the Ocho. It's the new thing. And it's like, is it? Yeah, but it is. Everyone's like, oh, we can be the next big thing. We can be the next big thing. And it's hard. And so speaking from the theorist perspective and kind of the channels that we run, we are primarily on YouTube with a secondary light focus on Twitter. And that's really about it. We're looking at different avenues now just because we've reached that scale, but we've been really focusing on developing a strong audience on this one platform because we specialize in longer form content that viewers on YouTube are interested in. And that's where we're able to deliver the strongest message. You know, should Rocket Jump be on Vine? Maybe there's some level of value you can provide there, but for your bread and butter content, I think that, you know, YouTube or Vimeo or whatever, like that makes the most sense. Yeah. And so I think as you're looking towards what platform your brand should be on, you should look at what is the value proposition that our brand can deliver our potential audience off of this platform, and does it make sense? Yeah. That, I think, is the fundamental distinction of whether or not you should pursue growing in that direction.
And to add to that, so I'm going to speak against you just for a second. I think you're right. But as a brand, just open an account just in case, because you never know when you want to go back to a certain platform and really develop it. So get the screen name before somebody else does. That's the only thing else.
Oh, absolutely. Claim
Yeah.
the space.
Claim
absolutely.
the space, but you don't have to really concentrate unless it really brings value.
Yeah. And to go exactly off what you were saying, it's like even within YouTube, it's like, so we have the main channel, again, it's 8 million, it's the most views you can get if you go with us, but at the same time, we have something like the film channel, the film school, which is more specialized. However, the people who are watching film school, they're heavy users, and they're people who are interested in buying screenwriting software, and so we get great partnerships and sponsors that go with that, because it's a specialized audience that is more willing to absolutely buy and engage with what we're doing. And so it's even within that same exact ecosystem. And you know, you're right also. We're talking about, oh, what Rocket Jump does is more long form. However, you know, when we think about Vine, we think on a creative level, oh, this is a 3-panel comic. You know what I mean? It's like tell this little ABC story and do it like that. So it's, yeah, it's going exactly off what you said. I completely agree. So.
Can I just say that there is way too many social media platforms out there? Like you have to have a Twitter, a Snapchat, an Instagram, a Facebook, all this.
Yeah.
It just kind of gets a bit too much to handle. So that's why, like, for me, if I'm on a certain social media platform, I'll decide which is the most important for me, which is the most valuable, and then the others I'll just kind of like leave to one side and just kind of like roll away.
That makes 100% sense. So, you know, kind of what I heard there a lot was you know, engagement, right? And in terms of how you're interacting with your audience and how they're interacting with you within these various platforms. And we've talked a lot about engagement today, and you know, there's a lot of ways to quantify that, whether it's likes, shares, comments, and retweets. But you know, I think for you guys in particular, engagement means something else, right? Like I would assume that means something entirely different, and it's not just, you know, just the numbers of like how many likes. Like, you know, I imagine, Tom, you're not looking at the number of likes you get on a video so much, but you're looking at, you know, what is your relationship with your audience, right? And I wanted to like bring that to light here. So, you know, is there any sort of story that you guys kind of have? Like, what is your relationship with your audience, and how do you sort of?
Mine's very personal, because when I started doing this, I was 17 years old, living at home with my dad, and my dad was like, "Why are you playing video games all the time?" You know, I managed to turn that into a job, but they saw me go from being 17 years old, growing up whilst they were at college or school or anything like that as well. And they saw me grow up, develop as a person. I'm now 22 years old. Through YouTube, I've managed to start my own clothing line. I own a games company with 3BD, and like build my own house out of it. So it's like I've actually done the whole progression of my life within the past like 5 years, and my audience has shared pretty much every single moment of that with me. Like a family member passed away, and I disappeared off the internet for like 3 weeks, and then when I returned, like the love and support from my audience was absolutely incredible. So it's like you have a genuine connection of feeling like you have something in common with your audience, basically.
Yeah, it's amazing. Bart, you have any sort of personal anecdotes?
I think my channel is a little bit different, obviously. Like, they're music video parodies, so we used to do it in a way where I never addressed the audience, and that's back when I had like 100,000 subscribers, so a while ago. But when I started doing end slates, where I would actually be like, yo guys, thanks for watching, blah, blah, blah. Like, this is where you can check out more, or, you know, you can get this song on iTunes, blah, and stuff like that, where they can actually see my personality. That's when all of a sudden I went from 100,000 to like 1 million in a matter of months. just because people felt like they could connect with the actual person behind the channel, which is a huge thing on YouTube. And that's also like goes like Snapchat, for example, is so personal as well. So that's why I think it's important for creators who don't have as much of a like outlet to show their actual personality to use other platforms like Snapchat to let people know what you're actually like as a person, and not when you're dressed up as Miley Cyrus or something. So.
We have 5 seconds. Can I speak?
We have 5 seconds.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1. Time's up. What are we gonna do?
We can
Yeah,
rush
it's
through
okay.
it. I think the people are okay.
Time's up. Oh my God! It tells you that time's up. Oh my gosh! It's like stop talking. What was the question?
We wanted to dive into a little bit of your relationship with your audience.
Yeah, all of that. I think it's the same for all of us. The only thing I would say when there's lots of companies and there's lots of brands that come in and they start a YouTube channel, and they do take the idea of traditional marketing and they bring it into YouTube, but it doesn't work. And it's the same as there's no connection to the audience, because the audience on YouTube and any other social media platform, they're so used to have this one-on-one conversation. So if you're a brand, just bring in personalities to connect your brand to your social media platforms, because that's going to be a lot faster transaction.
Yeah, 100% with that. I agree. Yes. No, it's true though. It's a mistake that we see brands make a lot of times in this space. Is like, wow, hey, Miss Glamorazzi or Michelle Phan or whoever has this amazing audience, this beauty channel that's making millions of dollars and able to do all this stuff. She has this audience who's eager for everything that she's doing. How can I do that? And so they'll, create the really highly polished sets and, cast the right person who's, feels down home but is still like beautiful and, all this stuff that they think makes a really strong beauty channel. And those always fail to get viewers, subscribers, etc. And it's because it's lacking that authentic or organic connection with the audience, like Olga was saying. There is a passion to it, right? And people a lot of times will see PewDiePie, and they're like, why is this guy the #1, channel on YouTube? Why his content is garbage? I don't get this. This isn't funny to me. And it's not supposed to be funny to you. Like he has an engagement with his audience and a language with his audience that isn't for outsiders, isn't for people who are over a certain age. And it's because he's been able to establish that authentic community around what he's doing that he's been able to become so popular. Yeah. And so there's a lot of questions and a lot of misunderstanding about YouTube and digital talent in general that like, are they professionals or are they amateurs? And it's like, well, no, PewDiePie's videos may look amateur, but he is a professional at what he does. And to you they may look amateur, but they are super highly polished and like the perfection of what digital media stands for and what works on this platform and what works specifically for his audience. And so I think overcoming that hurdle and understanding that, the most polished visuals and the highest quality productions may not always result in the highest number of views. That is a key hurdle that I think brands need to kind of overcome when entering and looking to succeed in the digital space.
Yeah, and so I come from a traditional media. Before I started my YouTube channel, build a brand on there. There's a lot of advertising money that goes into marketing on TV. Now, the people that are really paying attention to brands right now are not really, like my audience 5 years ago, I went to VidCon, which is the biggest conference for YouTube personalities. And I asked in the panel of 700 people, I asked, what is the favorite TV show that you guys watch? And nobody raised their hands, and they said, well, we don't have TV. We don't do that. So it made me realize that the future generation will be only paying attention to people like PewDiePie, and they will grow with him, and then over time it's going to become more quality, but they're going to be really paying attention to those people. And for the lack of a better word, and I hate saying this, but when older generation dies off.
You're done. You're done for. This is what we think of you
I'm
people.
sorry, I hate saying that, but it's very true. Then who are you concentrating on?
Yo, basically what you're saying is stop putting any money on TV and just give it all to digital, right?
Yes. Oh, do both. Really figure out how to do both. Coming from traditional media, I really concentrate on both. I'm not saying, fuck you, traditional media. I'm just going to concentrate on my own brand in digital. I do both. And so slowly but surely, it's all merging together. And this is recorded. So
is.
next time I'll just play this video. So
go
yeah,
viral,
it's
probably.
very important to do both because eventually it's all gonna merge together, or the millennials actually gonna be dominating, and it's good that one foot is there for all the brands that are out there right now.
And, no, and I'll just say even with this sort of generational message, is the intent of it always remains the same, and that's the thing that we always try to hold on to. When I was a kid, I saw Jaws, and I'm like, I'm gonna make things like that for the rest of my life. That's what I'm gonna do. And just because we're in this new space, and just because we're coming out on YouTube and we're getting a chance to do this, that's where it came from us, and it all comes from the same place, and we want to do the same thing. And when we go into these relationships and we start working with brands, and we have that same sort of passion that is just like everything that came out of traditional media, and we set rules for ourselves and we try to really appreciate it. And like, we always talk about our internal mantra when it comes to working with advertisers or everything that we're doing, is we have it, and especially with regards to our audiences, we say, don't piss people off. And we don't want to piss off the sponsor. We don't want to piss off everybody internally. We want everybody to be happy, and most importantly, we want our audience to be happy. And we go into it and we communicate everything that we want to do. We let them know what our audience is interested in. And we try to communicate exactly what we're going to be doing, what our tone is. And if we get everybody on the same page, everybody walks away and feels like they win. And that's the most important thing that we try to hold on to, because it can go wrong sometimes. Things can, if somebody has an idea of what your video is going to be like, you send them the script, they go through their process, but then at the end they see the video and they're like, oh, we were expecting something more like a commercial. When in the end, an audience doesn't mind being sponsored to sometimes, but they definitely respond to being marketed at. And if you can get everybody on the same page and understand that, hey, I got this cool thing. I got to watch a new rocket jump video, and oh, hey, this company was a part of it, and that works out. And that's really what we strive for at the end of the day.
It's in my eyes, it's got to be natural, and I just bring it back to one of the brand integrations that I did about 2 years ago. A company, Saatchi & came to me with the brand Mattison's, and they said like, hey, this is what we want to promote. It's a food product, like a snack. It was like a little chicken chunk thing that you could eat. Actually really tasty. And they came to me and was like, we want to do this natural brand integration. I was like, go for it. Like, this is what I want to do, make it feel natural. Let me be involved in the creative process. I don't want you to come at me and say, this is what you have to do. This is what we need. This is what we want, sort of thing. We were in it together, and it was one of the best brand integrations I've ever done. My audience absolutely loved it. And together with Saatchi, we actually won I don't know if it's an American thing, if you know of it, but like a Cannes Lion. We actually won one of them in advertising and marketing. So it was like, I didn't know. I got a phone call like, we won one of these. I was like, cool, that's great. And obviously now, like when I'm in meetings and management team, like speak to companies like, oh yeah, he's won one of these before in marketing. I was just like, I had no idea how big of an impact that was, and to be able to say I was involved in that campaign was absolutely incredible. And it was all down to, I think we can all agree, having a natural integration with the company, and them coming to us and working with us, not just coming to us telling us what to do, because this space works differently from TV, it works differently from everything. We, like people here, made it is what it is today. So, we've got to be natural with our audience and just continue that way.
I actually launched a app with a few people last month called Challenged, and it is, in my opinion, the best way for brands to integrate without feeling like it's sponsored at all. So the app itself, we got 1 million users within 2 weeks. But you can create challenges, and it's aggregated like platform just to create challenges. So all your audience can respond to you directly doing the challenge. And the way it works with brands, so naturally, is literally I could do, okay guys, what's up? I'm doing a lip sync challenge right now. Show me your best lip sync. Whoever wins is gonna get Bose headphones. There you go. All of a sudden, 20 million people are watching that and seeing Bose, and everyone wants Bose headphones. So it feels natural, even though it's a product placement in a way, but people want to win that product, so they're not like saying, oh, you're a sellout, because it's a brand new platform, so you can't, that's like kind of how it's structured.
Yeah, and I think that's the key, right? And you hit it, and Tom, you hit it. It's just like, you want to make it feel natural. You want to make it feel authentic to what you guys are doing. And there's a very certain tone that you guys have with your audience, and that's key, right? And that's why we want to work with you guys for your guys' expertise. As Olga has reminded us, we are out of time.
Yeah, like
So
a long
unfortunately,
time ago.
if you guys want to have questions, these guys will stick around a little bit. As you can tell, they're super bright and super brilliant. So feel free to ask them a couple questions. Otherwise, thanks guys, appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.